This is part 4 of chapter number 12, electricity of class 10. In this part, we'll discuss heating effects of electric current, electric power, and then in the end, we'll discuss the commercial unit of electrical energy. In the previous part, we have studied the series and parallel combination of the resistances. Okay, so in series combination, 3 points to remember. The first one, the current flowing through each resistor is the same. Okay, which we have discussed with an activity also. The current flowing through each resistor is the same. Series combination means a number of resistors are connected one after the other. Such a combination, we call it as the series combination. So the current flowing through each resistor is the same, but the potential difference across the whole combination, okay, that is V, will be equal to the sum of the potential differences developed across each resistor. So V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3 and so on. Okay, and the third is that the effective resistance in the series combination, let us write it as RS, is equal to the sum of the which are connected in series. So these are the 3 points which you have to remember for series combination. The first one, the current flowing through each resistor is the same. The total potential difference across the whole combination is equal to the sum of the potential differences developed across each resistor. And the effective resistance in the series combination is equal to sum of the individual resistances. Whereas in parallel combination, the 3 points which you have to remember are the potential difference given to each resistor will be the same, okay, which is equal to the total potential difference developed across the whole combination. Okay, so here the potential difference developed across each resistor is the same, that is R1, R2, R3, each one is getting the same potential difference. But the current, which is the total current which is given by the battery, will be equal to sum of the currents in the individual branches. That is, the current flowing through each resistor is not the same. The total current given by the battery is equal to sum of the currents in individual branches. That is, the sum of the currents flowing through each resistance. And the third one is that the reciprocal of the effective resistance is equal to the sum of the reciprocals of individual resistances. So these are the 3 points which you have to remember for the parallel combination. Okay, we have done few questions based on series combination and then on parallel combination. Okay, now in the circuit diagram, there can be a combination of the series and parallel. Okay, that is some of the resistances connected in series, some of the resistances connected in parallel. Let us do few questions based on it. This is a circuit diagram in which there are 5 resistances connected in this manner. Whenever the current divides in a number of branches, that is in the number of resistors, then we'll consider those resistors to be connected in parallel. And if the same current is flowing through the resistances, we'll consider them to be connected in series. Like here, the current through the battery is I. At this junction, we see that the current divides in these 2 branches. That is, the current flowing through R1 and R2 will be different. So R1 and R2 are connected in parallel. The same way, here also the current is dividing in these 3 branches. That is, the current flowing through R3, R4 and R5 are different. So these 3 are also connected in parallel. Okay, so first let's find out the equivalent of R1, R2, then R3, R4 and R5. Given here is, let R1 is equal to 10 ohms, R2 is equal to 40 ohms, R3 is equal to 30 ohms, R4 is equal to 20 ohms, and R5 is equal to 60 ohms. Okay, now we see that R1 and R2 are connected in parallel. So first we'll find out the equivalent of R1 and R2. Let the equivalent of R1 and R2 is, let us write it as R12. So 1 upon R12. R12 is the equivalent of R1 and R2, which is equal to 1 upon R1 plus 1 upon R2. Substituting the values, 1 upon 10 plus 1 by 40, which is equal to 5 by 40. So R12 is equal to 40 upon 5, which is equal to 8 ohms. The same way here we see that R3, R4 and R5 are connected in parallel. Let's find out the equivalent of R3, R4 and R5. Let the equivalent is R345. Okay, which is equal to 1 upon R3 plus 1 upon R4 plus 1 upon R5. That is 1 upon 30 plus 1 upon 20 plus 1 by 60. 60 is the LCM. Ten ohms. Okay, now let us redraw this diagram. This is the equivalent of R12, which is R12, and the equivalent of R345. Let us write it as R345. Now here we see that the current flowing through R12 and R345 is the same. So these two are connected in series because the same current is flowing through these two resistors. So these two are connected in series. So the effective resistance, the total resistance of the circuit is equal to R12 plus R345 as they are connected in series. So 10 plus 8, it is equal to 18 ohms. Hence, the equivalent is equal to 18 ohms. The next question is, the circuit diagram is as shown. So the current will divide in these two branches. So R1 and R2 are connected in parallel. The same way R4 and R5 are connected in parallel. So we'll find out the equivalent of R1 and 2, then R4 and 5. Then all these three resistances will be connected in series. Let's do it. First, let's find out the equivalent of R1 and 2. The equivalent is R12 as they are connected in parallel. So 1 upon R1 plus 1 upon R2, that is 1 upon 2 plus 1 upon 2. And hence R12 is equal to 1 ohm. The same way, first let's find out the equivalent of R4 and 5. Let the equivalent is R4, 5 as 4 and 5 resistors are connected in parallel. So 1 upon R4, 5 is equal to 1 upon R4 plus 1 upon R5, that is 1 upon 2 plus 1 upon 2. Again, it is 2 by 2. And hence the equivalent of R4, 5 is 1 ohm. Okay, now let us redraw this circuit diagram. Now in place of R12, the equivalent is R12, which is connected to R3 resistance, which is equal to 3 ohm. And this is connected to R45, which is again equal to 1 ohm. Okay, now you can see that all these three resistances, R12, R3 and R45 are connected in series. So hence the effective resistance is equal to the sum of all these three, and hence is equal to 1 plus 3 plus 1, that is it is equal to 5 ohm. So the effective resistance is 5 ohm. Let's discuss the heating effect of electric current. We know that the battery or a cell is a source of electrical energy. Okay, so the battery or the cell or the power source, it is the source of the electrical energy. Okay, now for example, in case of a fan, let's take an example in case of an electric fan. Okay, which fan? Electric fan. The electrical energy has to be converted into some useful work. And what is that useful work? To rotate the blades of the fan. So here the electrical energy has to be converted into some useful work. but a part of the electrical energy is converted into the useful work, that is rotating the blades of the fan. Okay, but some part of the electrical energy is also converted into heat energy. So the electrical energy gets converted into useful work, that is the blade rotates. Okay, plus some part of the electrical energy is converted into heat energy, which is undesirable over here. But in some of the devices like electric geyser, electric heater, electric toaster, electric iron, the electrical energy has to be converted into the heat energy only. The whole of the electrical energy has to be converted into heat energy. And this is possible when the circuit is purely resistive. That is, the circuit is a combination of some resistances. So whenever there is some resistance of a conductor and the current flows through it, the electrical energy gets converted into heat energy. Here it is undesirable. Okay, but here the whole of the electrical energy has to be converted into heat energy. And this is only possible when it is a combination of the resistances in the circuit. That is, the circuit is purely resistive. Okay, now when the electrical energy has to be converted only in the heat energy, then this effect we call it as the heating effect of electric current. This is called as the heating effect of electric current. Okay, that is the electrical energy gets converted into heat energy. Any wire, any conductor which is having some resistance, when the current passes through it, some heat is produced. This effect we call it as the heating effect of the electric current. Okay, so the necessary condition that the conductor should have some resistance, then only the electrical energy will be converted into heat energy. And every conductor is having some resistance. So whenever the current passes through a wire, the electrical energy is converted into heat energy. That is, some heat is produced, it gets heated up, and this effect we call it as the heating effect of electric current. Now let's find out the expression of the heat generated in a conductor. Okay, we know that any conductor which is having some resistance capital R, for continuous flow of electric current, some work has to be done. This we call it as the electrical work done. Okay, this amount of electrical work done against the potential difference V, we know is equal to Q into V. Why? We know that potential difference is work done per unit charge. So the work done against the potential difference for the flow of current, that is for the flow of charges, is equal to Q into V. Okay, but we know that current is equal to charge flown per unit time. Okay, so from here, Q is equal to I into T. T is the time for which the current is flowing. Okay, so Q is equal to I into T. Substituting it over here, we get, okay, substituting Q in equation number 1, we get W is equal to I into T into V. This work done is equal to V into I into T. Okay, now this work done is equal to, this is the electrical work done in case of the heating effect of electric current. In case of the heating devices means where the electrical energy is purely converted into the heat energy, like electric geyser, electric toaster, electric iron, etc. Okay, there the electrical work done is equal to the heat energy produced. Okay, so the heat energy produced is equal to V into I into T. According to Ohm's law, V is equal to I into R. Substituting V is equal to I into R, we get the expression I square R into T. So this is another expression of heat energy produced, which is equal to I square R into T. Also in terms of V and R, that is eliminating I from here. I is equal to V upon R. Substituting I is equal to V upon R, we get heat energy produced is equal to V square upon R into T. So these are the various expressions of the heat energy produced, okay, which is the heating effect of the electric current whenever the current passes through any conductor having some resistance. The electrical work done that is the electrical energy, is converted into the heat energy. This effect we call it as the heating effect of the electric current, and the expression of the heat energy produced is equal to V into I into T, where T is the time for which the current is flowing. It is also equal to I square R into T, or it is also equal to V square upon R into T. Okay, so here we use this expression when V is constant. When the source voltage is constant, then we use this expression. Okay, and if there are a number of resistors connected in series, we know that the current flowing is the same. Then we can use this expression I square R into T. Otherwise, if V is constant, we'll use this expression V square upon R into T. Or we can use this expression when I is constant, H is equal to I square R into T. Okay, now this law, H is equal to I square R into T, this was given by Joule and is called as the Joule's law of heating effect. Now the next topic is Joule's law of heating effect. According to Joule, whenever the current passes through any conductor having a resistance capital R, then the electrical work done, as we know that, is equal to the heat energy produced. Okay, now this heat energy produced according to Joule is directly proportional to the square of the current, provided the resistance and the time for which it is flowing is constant. Okay, the heat produced is directly proportional to the square of the current, provided R and T are constant, resistance and the time for which it is flowing is constant. Now, if we keep the current constant, only vary the resistance, then it is found that heat is directly proportional to the resistance, provided the current and the time for which it is flowing is constant. Also, the effect of heat produced is seen with the time. It is found that the heat produced is directly proportional to the time for which it is flowing, provided the current and the resistance are kept constant. Now, combining all these three, we get H is directly proportional to I square R into T. Equating it, the constant of proportionality here is equal to 1. So we get H is equal to I square R into T. Okay, this formula we call it as the Joule's law of heating effect of electric current. So this is the Joule's law. The heat produced is directly proportional to the square of the current, directly proportional to the resistance, directly proportional to the time for which it is flowing. So hence the heat produced is equal to I square R into T. Now let's discuss some practical applications of heating effect of electric current. The first one is electric bulb. In case of an electric bulb, there is a filament inside. This filament becomes red hot when the electric current is passed through it. Okay, generally it is made up of tungsten. It is made up of a material known as tungsten. Okay, so here the electrical energy is converted into the heat energy, and some part of that electrical energy is also converted into the light energy. So the electrical energy gets converted into the heat energy and the light energy. The characteristic of the filament of the electric bulb, the first characteristic, it should have a high resistivity. It should have high resistivity. And the second point, it should have high melting point. So that is why tungsten is used, which is having high resistivity, and it is also having high melting point. Its melting point is, the melting point of tungsten is 3380 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that is why the tungsten is used as a filament for an electric bulb, because of its high resistivity and high melting point. Okay, also the filament is thermally isolated. Okay, as you can see that the filament is inside a bulb, and this bulb is filled with chemically inactive nitrogen and argon gas, so that it prolongs the life of the filament. Okay, so the bulb doesn't have air inside. The bulb is having chemically inactive nitrogen and argon gas, which prolongs the life of the filament. Now the second effect is the electric fuse. It is a safety device in household circuits. Okay, it is connected in the main supply, and also with the other individual devices also there is a fuse. Okay, it is connected in series in the main supply. In the meter, you can see that in the live wire, there is a short wire which is called as the fuse wire. This short wire is made up of alloy of tin or lead, and its characteristic should be such that it should have a low melting point. So whenever the current exceeds a safe limit, that is the current exceeds by a certain limit, the temperature of the wire increases, and as its melting point is low, so it will melt and it will break up the circuit, and all the devices inside the house will be saved by being damaged. Okay, so electric fuse is a safety device in the household circuit. Okay, it is a short wire which is made up of tin and lead, and its characteristic should be such that it should have a low melting point. Okay, then only whenever the current will, a high unduly current will flow through it, the circuit will break because the wire will melt as its melting point is very low. So it will save all the electrical devices inside the house. These fuses are rated for different values, like it is for 1 ampere, 2 ampere, 5 ampere, and so on. Okay, so different electrical devices will be having different fuses depending upon the amount of current flowing through it: 1 ampere, 2 ampere, 5 ampere, 15 ampere, etc. In the household circuit, we see that all the electrical devices are connected in parallel. They are not connected in series. Okay, all these devices like electric bulb, electric fan, electric geyser, washing machine, fridge, all these are connected in parallel. Why? Because they are having different value of resistances. So they require different amount of current, which is only possible in the parallel combination. So the first reason of connecting all these electrical devices in parallel is that all these devices are having different resistances. The electric bulb has a different resistance than a toaster, than a fan, etc. So all the electrical devices are having different resistances. So they will require different amount of current. The one which is having more resistance will require less amount of current. So that is why they are connected in parallel. If they are connected in series, we know that in the series combination, the same current flows through all the devices. Okay, so that is why they are connected in parallel, because they require different amount of current. Also, if one of the device fails to work, okay, one of the device gets damaged or it fails to work, then the other devices will still keep on working. But if they are connected in series, if one of the device fails to work, one of the device gets damaged, then as the same current is flowing, that is the circuit will be broken and the other devices will also not work. Here, when they are connected in parallel, if one of the device fails to work, the other devices will keep working in the same manner. So that is why in the household circuit, all the devices are connected in parallel. They are not connected in series. Also, each device is having a separate switch, which is only possible in parallel combination. If they all are connected in series, then there will be only one switch. If you put on the switch, all the devices will start working. Okay, and the same current will flow through it, which is not required in the household circuit. In the household devices, they have to be connected in parallel. Now the next topic is electric power. Electric power is defined as the electrical amount of energy consumed per unit time, okay, or the electrical work done per unit time. So energy consumed per unit time. Okay, so the electric power is the electrical energy consumed per unit time, or you may say the electrical work done per unit time. So it is the electrical work done per unit time or the electrical energy consumed per unit time. Okay, we have just now found out the expression of the electrical work done. The electrical work done is given by V into I into T, which is also equal to V square upon R into T, which is also equal to I square into R into T. So here we'll get the various expressions of the electrical power by substituting this. So electrical power is equal to V into I into T upon T. We get V into I. The other expression, V square upon R into T divided by T. So we get V square upon R. And the next expression, I square R into T upon T, we get it as I square into R. So these are the various expressions of electric power. The unit of electric power is watt, which we represented by capital W. 1 watt of electric power can be defined as 1 volt into 1 ampere. That is, when 1 ampere of current is flowing between 2 points having a potential difference of 1 volt, then the electrical power is equal to 1 watt. So 1 watt can be defined as when 1 ampere of current is flowing between 2 points having a potential difference of 1 volt. Okay, so these are the various expressions of the electric power. SI unit is watt, and 1 watt is equal to 1 volt into 1 ampere. Now let's discuss the commercial unit of electrical energy. The electricity bills, what we get it at home. Okay, the units are written over there. Like in this particular month, these many units are used. Okay, those units are the unit of the electrical energy. We know that the SI unit of electrical energy is joule. Okay, and this joule is a very small unit. For commercial purposes, a bigger unit has to be used, and the commercial unit of the electrical energy used is kilowatt into R, which is written as kWh. Okay, so this is kilowatt into R. So this is the commercial unit of the electrical energy. The electricity bills, what you get it at home, in which it is mentioned that in this particular month, these many units are used. That is, these many kilowatt hour is used. Okay, so in the bill, it is written as unit only. What is that unit? That is kilowatt into hour. Let's convert this kilowatt hour in joules. Okay, this is also the unit of electrical energy, and joule is the SI unit of electrical energy. Let's see the relation between them. 1 kilowatt hour. How do we define it? If 1 kilowatt power of electrical appliance is used for 1 hour, okay, 1 kilowatt electrical power appliance is used for 1 hour, then the energy consumed is 1 kilowatt hour. So how do we define 1 kilowatt hour? 1 kilowatt power of electrical appliance used for 1 hour. Then the energy consumed is said to be 1 kilowatt hour. Now let us convert this kilowatt hour in joules. Okay, joules is watt into second. Okay, so here we have to convert kilowatt in watt. We know that 1 kilowatt is equal to 1000 watt, and hours we have to convert it in seconds. 1 hour has got 60 minutes and 1 minute has got 60 seconds. So 1 hour is equal to 3600 seconds. So it is equal to 36 followed by 5 zeros, watt into second, which can be written as 3.6 into 10 raised to the power 6 watt into second can be written as is equal to joule. So 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 3.6 into 10 raised to the power 6 joule. Joules is the SI unit of electrical energy, and kilowatt hour is the commercial unit of electrical energy. Let's do a question based on it. An electric refrigerator rated 500 watt. So the power is given as 500 watt, operates for 6 hours a day. The time given is 6 hours per day it is used. What is the cost of electrical energy if it is used for 30 days? So it is not only used for 1 day, it is used for 30 days, and you have to find out the cost of the electrical energy. If it is 4.5 rupees per kilowatt hour, that is for 1 kilowatt hour, the cost is 4.5 rupees. So here we have to find out the electrical energy consumed in kilowatt hour. Okay, then only we can find out the cost. Okay, we know that the electrical energy is equal to power into time. In order to get the electrical energy in kilowatt hour, the power should be in kilowatt and the time should be in hours. Okay, 500 watt, 500 divided by 1000, that is 0.5 kilowatt. is the electrical power. So here we have converted the electrical power in kilowatt. So 0.5 into time is 6 hours for 1 day. We are finding out the electrical energy consumed for 1 day. This is for 1 day. Okay, which is equal to 3 kilowatt hour for 1 day. Okay, now it is used for 30 days. For 30 days, the total electrical energy used will be equal to 3 kilowatt hour into 30 days. That is 90 kilowatt hour. So in 30 days, this much electrical energy is consumed. Now 1 kilowatt hour costs 4 rupees 50 paisa. So 90 kilowatt hour will cost. So the cost will be equal to 90 kilowatt hour into 4.5, which is equal to 405 rupees. Okay, why? Because 1 kilowatt hour is costing 4.5 rupees. So 90 kilowatt hour will cost 90 into 4.5, that is 405 rupees. So we have completed this part, part number 4. In the next part, part number 5, we'll discuss the NCERT in text questions. Okay, the questions are which are in between the chapter. We'll discuss those questions. And then in part number 6, we'll discuss the exercise questions which are behind the chapter. So in order to watch these parts, kindly subscribe to the channel and keep watching. Thank you.